right into it inshallah with our dear Dr. Tarek Hussein. فليتفضل مشكور. We need some AV assistance to get it on the screen, please.
بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. I'm very thrilled to be among you. I feel like I'm honored to be in this position to address something of importance, and I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it easy for us to follow and understand. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. My dear brothers and sisters, inshallah, we'll give some thoughts about cooperation and participation in pluralistic societies. First of all, the definition of pluralistic society is different than diverse society. We can be diverse, but this entails that there is a mutual understanding and respect between different communities. If that condition exists, then we can name it pluralistic society. Politics has so many different definitions based on your background, based on the culture that you've been raised in. Meaning, politics in overseas, if you talk to anybody about, he said, this is a dirty game. That's their definition. Politics as dirty games. And of course, with that definition, that limits the participation of the individual in the process. If you talk to a white American guy, he's going to tell you, this is entertainment. I participate because it is entertainment. But in the actual meaning of politics it's a process. It's a process of making decisions. So who among us doesn't want to participate in the process that leads to the end of making decisions? And I will be very frank with you, my dear brothers and sisters. Either one of the two, either to be part of the decision-making group or to be a follower. If you choose to be a follower, then we shouldn't complain. However, in American system, you have the right to complain. But inshallah, we'll just cover some of these items here. We did talk about politics and how politics can be defined, and we're going to talk about, inshallah, the strategic goals for political participation. There is a balance between aspirational goals and realistic possibilities. And I will take this opportunity to just give a humble comment on the question was raised yesterday by brother Basim Qurra about where we can find the defining line of cooperation between scholars like you and activists like me. It's very simple, my dear brothers and sisters. And I think it is first in the mindset. إن الله لا يغير ما بقوم حتى يغيروا ما بأنفسهم. Part of Surah Al-Ra'd, verse 11. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this verse gives you the key in your hand. If you change what is in yourself, ما بأنفسهم, which means what? My heart, my intention, my niyyah, and my mindset. Where is my priority in this country? How I want to live my life, and what is the future that I can foresee for my generations. So the challenge that also can be faced during this process of strategic political participation we're going to talk about, and inshallah we'll talk about the importance of engagement in political parties such as voting, political lobbying group. What is the importance of voting? Very important that we're going to talk about this inshallah, and how Muslims in America become active in political lobbying, and then we'll conclude. So Bismillah. As I mentioned about politics, it's a process of making decisions. And Islam actually invites all of us to be part of that process. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned about in Surah Al Imran, verse 110, كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس. Not just for Arab, not just for French, but for all people. كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس. Why Allah is conditioned. تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us, and of course you are the scholars, commanding goodness, my dear brothers and sisters, it's a fard. And prohibit evil is a fard. And this is the action that you can claim your وَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ. So Allah put the action before claiming the belief, because Islam is a dynamic way of life. It's not just spiritual, and it's not just action based on whatever. No, it is an action depend on the intention, right intention based from Quran and Sunnah. So when we talk about strategic goals, aspirational goals, these goals must have also conditions, must be guided by you as a scholars. And here is where we can meet. If we can agree that the scholars are the ones who should share in making these goals, but because of somebody else understand the environment and become acquainted and participating actively in the society, such as the activist, who can give you a real assessment of reality. And based on that, our goals must be re-evaluated and must be monitored. And we'll talk about that, inshallah, in more detail. So Muslims must be part of the system, but more importantly, to understand how the system works. My dear brothers and sisters, this is not just something light. This is very important. How system works, so you can make it work for your advantage, because somebody else is using the system against you. So let's talk again about strategic goals for political participation, how we can achieve that balance. Aspirational goals, as I mentioned, that Islam invites you to be active participant in the society. Aspiration without clear vision can be a symbolic, can be something to feel comfort with, but has to be substantive. Otherwise, it's not going to have the effect of long-term achievement. The example, my dear brothers and sisters, civil rights movement. We all understand that there is a law called Civil Rights Act in 1964. Why the legislators made a law unless there is an issue and unless there is a problem? That's why they set up this law to give the rights to those who does not have or who do not get their rights. And we all understand the black history in America and how there was a discrimination and racial profiling, stereotyping, and you name it. However, the civil rights movement is very important for us to understand. It's not just because of the principle of justice and equity or equality, but it was also driven by changing policies and lobbying supported by so many people in the decision makers. This is the importance of connecting with the decision makers in this country. Islamophobia is another example, my dear brothers and sisters. Islamophobia does exist since 1970s. Even Kofi Annan, who was the United Nations head of the United Nations, he mentioned that Islamophobia exists. And I have sorrow to tell you that one of the times I was talking to a respected Imam, and he denied that there is something called Islamophobia in America. And when Brother Basim here, he's going to come and talk to you, maybe he will explain to you that Islamophobia is an industry in America, which means it's a business built on $60 million a year spent to defame your religion. And one of the organizations on the front line is CARE, Council on American Islamic Relations. Their budget for counting act Islamophobia is $6 million a year. So you can just see how the difference is. How our political system is shaped. Our political system, my dear brothers and sisters, is shaped by so many factors, such as participation, such as parties, such as lobbying group. Lobbying group is very important because this is how American life is. Politics is in the daily life of every American in this country. So lobbying is not just a privilege, no, it is a plan, it is a strategy where people try to connect with their decision makers and even sometimes put pressure on them to do what you want as a goal that you have. Social construct you see in America in the past, for example, in 1940s and 1950s. Some shops written, no blacks, no Jews, no dogs. How Jewish community in America were able to change that stereotype to be even controlling community in America. It takes dedication, it takes commitment, it takes great effort, it takes also knowledge about how the system works. So when we talk about how we can design that, it's the frame of SMART, and I'm sure most of us as professionals, we use this in our place of work. SMART, which is the goals must be specific, even if it is a long-term goal, must be specific and must be measurable. We cannot just put any aspirational goals without being measured, and must be attainable. That comes from the reality, understanding the reality and feasibilities. Your goal can be attainable. And what is R4? Huh? Yes. Okay, we said specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, very good, and time-based. Time-based. We have to have a time frame for everything we do in our life. Okay, so how we can bridge that gap between the aspirational goals and realism? You can dream big, but to achieve that dream, you have to take baby steps. So the strategic goals serve as a bridge between ideal and achievable. Effective goal setting in political participation has three bases. Coalition building, you cannot do it yourself, my dear brothers and sisters. As a Muslim community, we have to have coalitions. We have so many organizations and individuals who have the same mission and vision as you, but we need to reach out to them and get them also actively participating with you. Tactical flexibility, which is the goal has to be also flexible. It means we can adjust the goal based on the reality we live in or based on the feasibility study that you have done. And also we can reevaluate these goals and adjust the goals based on the need. There are some challenges, of course. Challenges is part of life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made challenges always in this dunya for everything we do. Number one is maintaining unity amid ideological differences. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, وَلَا تُجَادِلُوا أَهْلَ الْكِتَابِ إِلَّا بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ. If you are not able to do that, we should not have any conversation with people of the book. However, there are so many of them believe in the same principles you believe. Also, different sects of Muslims. I think when we set up our goals and ask for coalition, we can just put certain aspect aside and just share what is common to achieve that noble goal that we are setting. Legal precedents and interpretation. Some of the decision makers, they may interpret the law the way they see. And we just witnessed these days, actually September 2nd, is going to apply Senate Bill number 10, where our Governor Abbott, he signed the bill to have a 10 commandments placed in every public school in Texas. The opposition were there, but however, he was able to pass it because most of the, as you know, in the House and the Senate, they were majority Republican, so it's easy for them to pass. Preventing co-optation. Co-optation means, like, just to make it simple, the two parties that we all know, Democratic and Republican, when Sister Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, they tried to pass a resolution to cease fire in Gaza. What happened? Some of those Democrats, because they've been promised by some of their Republican colleagues that if you vote against that bill, I will vote for something you trying to pass. So using the power to convince the opposing party for what you want, that's what's called by co-optation. And also balancing urgency with patience. This is for young people, because we all know that young people always look for things to be done right away, which is okay. However, changing institutions and institutional reforms takes a long time. So we have to be patient if we want to make any change in this country. Now, engagement in political parties in terms of voting and political lobbying groups. We build coalitions. Islam is a way of life, as we know. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us, Inna ad-deena inda Allahi al-Islam. But when it comes to coalition, we have to understand, we are not talking here as believers, but we're talking as people. People can get along with other people who have the same mission and vision as you. AMJA Assembly in 2016 gave advice to the Muslim community to open their doors and welcome all people from all walks of life regarding their political affiliation or their social identity and so on. We all remember that term, melting pot. When we came to America maybe 30, 40 years ago, everybody has to melt in the pot to become American. What that led to? That led to Muslims try to assimilate to the system. They lost their identity. Muhammad become Mo, Mustafa become Joe, and so on. Others, they try to adapt to the system by trying to be involved in the system, but also they lost part of their identity. So how about today? Today, we invite Muslims to integrate into the system with preserving your identity as a Muslim. And that's why in sociology, the sociologists call the society nowadays as a salad bowl, where you can recognize every item in the salad, but still all in one bowl. I think this is important because I remember one time with the Homeland Security meeting, Mr. AJ Muhammad, you know him, he said that melting pot, and I have to correct him, it's a salad bowl nowadays, it's not a melting pot anymore. So understanding how the system works needs, of course, education, needs time involved with my dear brothers and sisters. How much time we do as a volunteer. Volunteerism is a basis for any activities in America. Go to any church, you see elderly people who are retired. They are serving in the church most of the time. Volunteerism is important, and this concept, I think we as Muslims and Muslim scholars need to really raise the awareness of Muslims in America to start believing in volunteerism. That doesn't negate the importance of having special people working like in the organizations to be a full-time dedicated in the organizations. These are the principles. The Holy Quran does not tell you go to vote or run for an office. But the Holy Quran, of course, based on the meaning of the verses and meaning of understanding and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam sunnah of life, it invite us and command us to be actively involved based on justice and fairness, based on consultation and shura, based on standing up for justice, based on protection of the rights of the vulnerable, those who are poor or those who are minority group, and also accountability in leadership, and also freedom and equality. Is political participation obligatory for Muslims? I hope this is one of the recommendations of this conference, that our dear ulama and scholars can agree on answering this question. Can we make it obligatory for Muslims to be actively involved in the political process, especially when it comes to voting? And let me tell you something, my dear brothers and sisters. In any democratic society, you see people almost half-half. Half go to this side, half go to the other side. What really makes one side win over the other is that margin in the middle. That margin in the middle, which represented by minority group, are the one who can swing the vote or swing the win to one of the two. So when we say your voice is amana and your vote is important, that's why in democratic society, that vote can be the swing to win for one over the two. And hopefully, inshallah, we can have another time, maybe in the question and answer session, we can talk about what is the importance of having a third party in America. Strategic goals for Muslim political participation. This is just some of the goals that we can focus on, like increase voter turnout and numbers count, my dear brothers and sisters. And let's be factual here. We cannot raise money as much as like ABAC is raising for candidate. However, with our turnout, with our coalitions, the people who believe in the same mission as you, we can make a difference. And Brother Basim has some storytelling to tell you about how, alhamdulillah, we were able to defeat some of those ABAC candidates. Raising awareness about key issues and advocating for policy change, promoting political education and literacy, building political alliance and coalition, ensuring fair and equitable representation, especially for minority group, increasing political accountability, and advocating for electoral reform, strengthening grassroots participation. I'm really so happy to see young people here, mashallah. Those are the future of our community. And lastly, the fostering political engagement and dialogue. So this is just some of the statistics done by Mujahid and Ikramullah and Mujahid as a research done. Muslim voter turnout was 78% in 2020. 17% were able to contact elected officials, 22 for having a town hall meeting, and 16% volunteered. This percentage is not that much, my dear brothers and sisters, and that's because the scholars need to really encourage Muslims to participate more. What really motivates Muslims to be active? Of course, post 9/11 and the growth of political representation. We have so many, mashallah, young people running for offices nowadays, which is great. And role of advocacy organizations, we are so blessed to have so many civil rights organizations such as CARE, MAS, ICNA, ISNA, you name it. Those all organizations are wonderful and they are doing a great job in protecting the Muslim identity in this country. Participation in national and local politics. As you know, politics is local. Strengthen your relationship with your local representative, so when you go to Washington, D.C., they carry your voice. But if they don't hear from you, why they should vote for you? Very simple. How Muslims choose among political parties? Of course, we all have passion for civil rights, social justice, foreign policy and international affairs such as Palestine, Iraq, and Afghanistan to, bring those military troops back, religious and moral values, which there is a difference between first generation Muslim and second generation, and generational and ethnic differences. Younger Muslim, they are more aggressive towards a Democratic Party, but older generation like myself lean towards more Republican Party. And with that, I conclude by saying that Muslims must be encouraged to participate in the political process, and this job is the job of the scholars to encourage Muslims to participate. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. For the first time in the history that the adhan is called in the state capital of Texas. This is something, my dear brothers and sisters, will make it as a hujjah in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we tried, Ya Allah, we tried our best effort. We went there to the state to make sure that those people who are making the decisions on your behalf, they understand that you exist in this country. The second thing is, my humble understanding from sociology is, in America, you see the government up here and community down here. What connects between the government and people? Can somebody answer? How you connect? Through NGOs, through non-governmental organizations, which based on what? Based on your participation. So the more time you give to support your organization, the more representation you can have, and the strong voice you can have. CARE and FBI, I feel obligated to tell you about this. Allah, my witness, I was in their office in Houston with 7 agents when they told me we cannot work with CARE. I said, this was like 15 years ago. I said, if there is anything against CARE, why you didn't take them to the court? Remember, I was at that time the president of CARE Houston. I said, if there is anything, we have system in this country. We have law, and we all are law-abiding citizens. Don't just give me anything doesn't make sense. You tell me why, and even under the law, there is nothing really you can interpret as unindicted co-conspiracy. They were accusing CARE of, again, unindicted co-conspiracy, which under the law has no meaning. This is just political. And my dear brothers and sisters, let me tell you this very frankly. If you have fear, don't live in America, period. America is a very strong country based on strong institutions. We as Muslims, if we don't have strong institutions, we have no place on the map. Either to be on the table, have a seat, or to be on a menu. Right? Yes, brother.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Rafiq Mahdi from Knoxville, Tennessee. You mentioned in your talk that you mentioned the Civil Rights Act of 1964,
No.
and then you said you all understand the Civil Rights Movement. I don't know how true that is, but I hope it is true. But if we think about the lessons that we can learn from the Civil Rights Movement and the challenges we're facing as the Muslim Ummah here in the United States today, I think there's a lot we can take from that. For those of us who lived through that time, of course, we know the names, Al-Hajj Manika Shabazz, Rahimullah, Malcolm X. We know the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s name. These were both religious leaders. And indeed, in the Civil Rights Movement, one of the core organizing units of that, or how that was able to come together in the communities, was through the churches. So if we can relate that, if you can speak a little bit about how we relate that to the masajid, because of the independent nature of every masjid in this country. So, there's only a few, I think, coalitions of masajids throughout the United States. Most of them are independent, and therefore they are working independently. So if we can think about how we can utilize that presence that we have here more effectively in this political environment and the work that we need to do.
Jazakallah khair, brother. Definitely, first of all, we have to learn from our brothers who have experience. Our black community, our Muslim, black Muslim community, they have the experience of what they went through. And we should really have so many meetings with them just to understand, like the brother mentioned, he has the experience, and I'm sure my dear brother Imam Qasim, he's sitting also there, looking at me, but I know he's here, and they have, mashallah, great experience. And that's what we need to build on. Get from the experience, knowing how the system works, and then take advantage of that and build up the coalition. I agree with you, brother, 100%. We should really make more effort. Dear scholars, respected scholars, please don't stick to your ethnic group. I have seen Pakistani brothers together, Arab brothers together, African American community together. Please, we all brothers and sisters. And I may just call melting pot only for Muslims to melt together in Islam and become more unified, inshallah, and more understanding about each other.
Please.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahmed Badir from Connecticut, Umar Islamic Center. Question is, was there any statistics of the numbers of Muslims in America? I mean, this is something that I don't know if there was an effort, because we've seen the stats on how many percent of Muslims vote or this or that, but we haven't really seen, stats on the numbers of Muslims in America. We're still being counted as a minority, and a very small minority, not only that we're a minority or a small minority, and we're still being counted as between 3 to 6 million. I don't think that this is true.
Absolutely.
So is there any effort made to actually have true statistics of the numbers of Muslims? And if there is not, will there be an effort, inshallah, to do so?
Inshallah. As you mentioned, brother, all the statistics that we have come from Pew Research and U.S. Census, even though U.S. Census don't put a religion there, but they ask you for your ethnic background and your race. However, that number, brother, I've been in America since '92, and that 3 to 4 million, I heard it at that time. And let's just everybody ask himself, how many you came either individual or with your wife or with children? How many you were as a family? I can speak on my behalf. I came with my wife with 2 little children. Now, Bismillah, mashallah, we have 10 grandkids and 4 children. So imagine, just as individual came as 4 people. Anybody good in math? 10 plus, how many? 250% increase. So no way, brother, it's going to be 3 to 4. However, unfortunately, we should really build up our own science, meaning we should have, and I believe, I'm not saying that to be biased to CARE, but I think CARE, one of the organizations, maybe ISNA also, inshallah, have really have done some research and announced, like how many Muslims, exist in America. But that number should be really at least 10 to 12. However, intentionally, they put you as a small number so you don't feel that you are strong. Because remember, numbers is power. So they don't want to tell you that you are that strong, so that's part of their agenda. And in America, please understand, I don't want to swear to Allah about this, but intentionally, my dear brothers and sisters, they put you in a defensive position. Why? There's a tactic here. Put you in a defensive position so you just worry about defending yourself. Do you going to have time to promote anything? You don't, because you worry about defending yourself. What is the message here? The message is we need to be proactive and get out of that shield called fear. And by the way, how we as Muslims have any fear except the fear of Allah? Right? Didn't Allah say, Inna Allah yudafi'u anil ladina amanu? Allah defend those who believe. How come we have fear? How come we associate anything with fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And by the way, this word, fear, F-E-A-R, called false evidence appearing real. Yes, brother.
Actually, on this side, our brother over here.
Assalamu alaikum. This is I'm Shakib Mashoud from Houston.
Yes, Habibi.
So first of all, I know Brother Tarek very well, doing amazing job, mashallah. Kira is doing amazing job, mashallah, as well. My question is, there are two questions I have. One is, for 80 years we are doing advocacy for Palestine, right?
Yes.
But we were not able to stop the genocide that's going. For 30 years, CARE is working on it. We're not able to do it. And we know the efforts that the CARE is doing and the other organizations are doing. Number one question is why we fail to motivate our community to an extent that we should have done. I mean, still we have protests, only a few people turn up for the protest and that's it. Just the protest I'm talking about, but a lot of other things. Why you fail to motivate the people? Why didn't every masjid right now just talking about Palestine in the khutbah? Because every day people are dying in Palestine. It really is very sad for us. That's one thing, why we're not able to motivate it. What do you think are the reasons? Number two is, we talked a lot of things today, and we're talking all over a lot of things, and they're all good things. Why can't, as a community, I'm saying CARE being a lead here, taking a lead, build a milestone-based plan, like this week, this month, this year, these are the milestones we have to achieve. And everyone who is here, the leaders of the community, all over from the US, why can't we all align to that milestones and achieve those milestones or strive to achieve those milestones versus going everywhere and achieving a little bit here and there? So those are the two questions.
Jazakallah khair, beautiful questions. The first one is about the, protesting and things like that. We have, again from the study, that there are 100 ways to raise your voice, demanding your needs or protesting about something wrong. There's 100 ways. One of these ways is protest. You have absolute right to protest and raise your voice and demand to your, public officials. However, we do not do something I believe is very crucial, and no one among us, even organizations, is talking about it, which is those, remember when we talk about getting involved in politics? Jazakallah khair. We did talk about the process of making decisions. My dear scholars, how many among us encourage Muslim community members to be delegate and visit your decision maker's office? How many? We do it once a year, my dear brothers and sisters. We go to the Austin Muslim Texas Capital Day once a year, and we meet with maybe 3 or 4 offices. If this is the way that we're going to make a change, absolutely not. Brothers, remember this number, 435. In addition to another 100. Do you know what that means? Exactly. Those people who are the decision makers in this country. We are millions of Muslims and other millions of coalitions, people who are in the same boat as you, especially even minority groups. Imagine if those 435 people knocking on their doors, I'm not saying every day, I'm not saying every week, but at least every month. Delegate from your masjid, 3 or 4 brothers and sisters, just go to your representative every single month, demand your need. Of course, build up the relationship first. If they accept the relationship, win-win situation. If they do not, are you going to go away? No. You threaten them. This is the way how it works in this country, my dear brothers and sisters. You demand your needs. If they are willing to listen to you, if they are willing to implement what you are asking for, Jazakumullah khair, thank you so much. We're going to support you. But we do not, brothers and sisters, we live honestly in a different world. The decision makers are the ones who make these decisions. Talking about Gaza, and I have seen Dr. Hatim al-Haj yesterday. Wallahi, it's فعلا, يعني subhanallah, it's true catastrophe, true tragedy to see our brothers and sisters in Gaza. However, just to overcome our emotions and be realistic, let's assist our resources in the community. We need to encourage community members to form delegates. Imagine how many masajid we have in the state of Texas, for example. If every masjid, 2 or 3 people, brothers and sisters, just have commitment to visit their representative every single month. And remember, politics are local. Also, show that you as a Muslim, you care about civic engagement. You don't just care about yourself or the foreign affairs. No, you care about also poverty. My dear brothers and sisters, America is the 2nd largest country in the West when it comes to child poverty. 2nd largest when it comes to child poverty. Do we know that? Do we know that we can have a strong voice when it comes to education? We all care about education. We all care about helping people, right? MashaAllah, we have big hearts when it comes to like Islamic Relief and Soup Kitchen and ICNA and all of this. Alhamdulillah, that's great. But my dear brothers and sisters, let's focus on those decision makers, make them to change their views about what decision they are making, because that will influence us. And instead of collecting $1 billion every year, by the way, a Muslim community collect $1 billion every year as, for humanity services. Let's take even 10% of that, just 10%, which is $100 million. Right, Brother Basim? That $100 million can make a difference. Some politicians are for sale. It's okay. This is the way it works. We can buy them instead of somebody else. So the second question, my dear brother, sister, my dear brother, about the milestones and the process, I think I am on the advisory board of CARE Houston. But inshallah, with our involvement with CARE as a whole, CARE team, we can discuss this issue and we can have like a milestone for our plan for inshallah maybe 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and we can break it down into baby steps so we can also meet our challenges and our needs. Jazakallah khair. Yes,
Dr. Hussein was
Before
joking.
Huh? Jazakallah khairan. Sisters, no questions? Alhamdulillah. Okay, our brother.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Jazakumullah khair for the informative presentation, Dr. Tarek. I have a question, and this is mainly for people that are running for like public office.
No.
And there's a stigma against politics and just being in that realm of that political arena of running and standing by values, whether that is mainly Democratic or Republican. So what would you say, or how could Muslims that are entering that arena, how can they balance their Islamic responsibility of standing up for what is right and being just and going into public office
No.
while balancing
Right.
the rights of Allah and their rights as Muslims?
Jazakallah khair. This is a very important question, my dear sisters, and please listen to me. How many among us understand the political process itself, how it works? When we say people are the one who make the decisions in this country, do you agree with that? We do. We do. Through whom? Through your elected officials. But let me tell you something unique. Not a lot of us, maybe remember. Do you know when you go to vote, you go where? You go to precinct, right? It's called precinct. You go to cast your vote. At the end, like let's say the ballots, they close at 7. If you stay 5 minutes after 7, and you can put a resolution, and if it passes, most of the time, 100% passes, that's called precinct resolution. And then, remember, you go either Democrat or Republican. This is in the primary, right? And you pass this resolution. The second level is district convention. These resolutions came from all of these different precincts are there. And if it passes, it will go to the higher level of state resolution. And if it passes, goes to the level of national resolution. And if it passes, it became what? It became the policy of the party. It came from where? It originated where? By you and you. If you stay just 5 minutes in the precinct, in the place where you go and vote. So when they say people are the one who making the decisions, yes, it's true. And when it adopted by when these resolutions adopted by the party, it become the ruling party. If the party win at large, it become the ruling policy for the party. Is it clear, brothers? I hope so, inshallah.
I think this will be our last question over on that mic, inshallah.
It's a quick disclaimer. For those who know Dr. Hussein, he was joking. Now, the informant recording this is going to say AMJA saying bye, so-and-so. So I just want to make sure that Dr. Hussein, we know you're a jokester, but we don't want anyone to transcribe that and to hurt AMJA in the community. So
Can we take the question? Last question, inshallah.
Sure, maybe Brother Bassam, you can answer part of my question. Maybe you can get that opportunity. I can get you in. Bismillah. My name is Hassan Jama. I'm from Minnesota. Former board member of USCMO, executive director, former executive director of IANA. Participated in many religious and political
organizations. We only have 1 minute for the whole session, so make the quick short. So he has enough time, inshallah.
So can I start over now? Okay. So, brother, actually, the reason I stand here is when I heard 501c4, that it's the political pack helping our community to be organized and more effective, not 501c4. The question is, how many states 501c4 can operate right now? Are you willing to expand? The way I see is last year we were active, very upset what happened in Palestine and elsewhere. Right now it's kind of confusion and we don't know what to do. And the way I see is there's two narratives towards our community. One is scapegoating. We don't belong to here, we are terrorists, we are so-and-so. And the other party, another narrative is kind of tokenizing our community. Like one elected official is hire one of us and then put in the front of his office and we think we have a representation there, but it's a token. So I witnessed some organizations are doing the same thing in different states, trying, they organizing us and building a power for us, but the CUR has the trust of the community and we know what we have done. So my question is, also we need to focus the other organizations that do a negative impact to our community, and the CUR is expanding different states as a 501c4? And what is the strategy for 2026? Because it looks like now we cool off, but still the situation in Gaza and in America is getting worse. Thank you.
Inshallah, this question will be...
Bassam, you can answer if you want that question.
Yeah, the answer is going to come from Brother Basim, inshallah.
Inshallah, so what we'll do is this. Otherwise Sadiq is going to hurt me and he's probably never going to invite me to anything anymore. We have the 5:30 open session, and that's when everybody has a chance to come back up to the front. Inshallah, we can continue the conversation there, inshallah ta'ala. There's a 15-minute break. We resume at 3:30 session with Dr. Salah, inshallah.
Inshallah.